remember when I first met you, I was like, he's one of those little actor kids. There is no way that kid can be that happy at night.
I always was.
You were?
I'm still pretty happy.
I was waiting for the shine to come off, and it never did.
No,
I was waiting for one day your mom leave the room and it's me and you go, look, you ever have to do that again, I will ruin you.
Yeah, I will take a shit in the middle of the studio and blame it on you.
And I will beat you.
No, I agree. You know, I was a pretty happy kid.
You were a very happy
I'm
kid.
still a happy person.
Yeah.
It's I was pretty positive, and I think that's probably the reason why I got Putt-Putt.
Well, yeah, because you embodied
I
that.
embodied all of that, you know, and that's who Putt-Putt was this happy character, and that was, you know, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah.
Putt-Putt is, you know, Putt-Putt is Jason is Putt-Putt. There wasn't a separation. It wasn't like now when you're going in and you're playing a role of somebody and you're like, okay, this is influencing me. I wasn't a method actor or, you a Meisner actor.
No, because you were like 8.
Yeah, I was 8. I had nothing to draw upon, like we were talking about the other day.
Right. Yeah.
What was childbirth like? It was my peanut M&Ms.
Just imagine you like standing outside of the booth and Tom's like, okay, go on in. And you're like,
yeah. And see,
can do this.
Yes.
Yeah, he lost 30 pounds.
Yeah, I lost 30 pounds.
Locked himself in a hotel room.
I was like, I'm going to get really into this. I weigh 50, I'm going to lose 30, I'll be 20.
He's all like,
the rub car oil all over me and see what
I
happens.
coated myself in car paint.
that's right.
Right.
He worked at a...
I'm gonna have unleaded gas just
Right.
for the first, just so I can. You know,
He worked at a Jiffy Lube for 4 months.
4 months to get the pod.
just to get the yeah.
I worked for Mazda because I wanted to know what it was like to build a Miata.
I've been drinking diesel for 2 weeks.
None of that happened. But yeah, he's right. Actually, I was pretty happy. I'm still happy, but I was a pretty positive kid. And you're right. That what you saw is what you got. You know, and I think that's
well, it's because a lot of other little kid actors will come in and you're looking at them like when we worked with some kids on Bill Nye. You'd say hi and they'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" You know what I mean? And
it was
like,
authentic.
Who got to you?
Yeah, what have they got on me?
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you're 6. Why are you speaking to me like that?
Yeah, my mom tells a really good story. When I was younger, you know, we'd have like my grandma would walk to the door or whatever, and she'd answer the door, and I'd come up to the door, and I'd say, "Hey, Grandma, you got a haircut. It looks great." And then turn around and walk away. I'm like 3 or 4 years old, and my mom's like, "I didn't even notice you had a haircut. I'm so sorry, Mom." But you know, I just noticed those things at a very young
Remember
age.
your grandma?
Yeah, she was great. Yeah. She's a great lady. So yeah, it was awesome. So
I whatever, like I'll just cut this out later if it comes out weird, but I feel a minor connection to your grandmother because I was looking you up to coordinate this a couple years back, and your Facebook page was open, and I found your post about your grandma.
If you don't know about my grandmother, she it's really unfortunate. She was visiting a friend down the street in Edmonds where she raised my mom and my uncles, and she was coming back after visiting a sick friend, and she grabbed her mail or something like that. She was walking from her mailbox to her house, and she went on walks and got hit by a car and got killed.
Oh my God.
And it was very unfortunate and very sad. And you know, I made a post on Facebook just to say about, you know, be careful in the way you drive, and you know, it never was determined if the guy was texting or not, but still, you know, I referenced it, and it was you know, it was really sad, you know, sad time for everyone because you know, she was full of life, and she wasn't ill, but you know, it is what it is. And so I very rarely make any public statements, especially through social media, because I just think it gets lost, and I think it's I feel like it's dumb sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
But that was something that I wanted to, you know, kind of put out there, and I did, and you know, it was unfortunate.
Yeah.
So be careful when you drive.
Yeah.
Always.
From Putt-Putt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. No, that made an impact on me. Well, transitioning. Let's
something more positive.
Well, let's introduce real quick. Again, you've done this a couple times today, but Laurie, who the heck are you, and what did you do?
Who the heck am I?
Yeah,
that is
please.
a deep question.
Let's do that. We got all night.
That.
Let's just.
I have been working on children's products for many, many years, and when I started doing Putt Parade and then worked with Humongous on a bunch of stuff and other companies as well, mostly in the preschool market, my kids thought I was awesome. They thought I was a rock star because they were in preschool.
Yeah.
Right? And then they got more mature than I did. So I aged up to Harry Potter at one point.
Very good.
So I've just always written for children.
Yeah.
And I think it just appeals to that positive side of me a lot, like, like Jason.
Yeah.
With kids stuff, you always have happy endings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's always been appealing. And I've written for kids television shows and but always for that younger group, and I've kind of transitioned to writing novels for middle graders now.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's the name of your latest book? What do you want to share?
So the first 2 books are part of a trilogy, and it's Hello There, We've Been Waiting for You, and then Hello There, Do You Still Know Me just came out. So I do a lot of school visits, and I talk to kids about writing, and it's just lots of fun to get them excited.
I'd love to check
those out. I'm going to Hawaii next week. And
oh, cool.
School visits.
Like a series of, like a whole circuit?
I've got, a couple school visits and then some after school presentations with kids at public housing. I love working with kids who don't get to meet authors, and
Sure.
Who, it just
awesome.
is exciting to get them excited.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic.
That's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Laurie. And specifically on this, you wrote the Putt-Putt series.
I wrote the Putt-Putt series. I wrote Fatty Bear, who is
Fatty Bear.
Yeah, I know.
Represents.
I am. Putting in a pitch for Fatty Bear. And I wrote the Blues Clues. Blues Clues for Humongous, and I directed the audio for Putt-Putt and Freddie Fish.
Nice.
And it's been a total joy.
It's wonderful. Now Fatty Bear's come up several times today, and I haven't gotten to tell you. I told my brother, who's several years older than me, 4 or 5. Sorry, Daniel, can't remember. 4, I think. I was saying, hey, I really basically hope to be a part of Humongous one day, and he said, hey, Fatty Bear, I want to see Fatty Bear too. As long as you do that, like I'm good. I'll support you.
That's awesome. I will try to find a picture of the real Fatty Bear and send it to you.
I'd love that. I would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
We'll share it. We'll share that. Yeah, that'd be so cool. The Farty Bear. And then Jason, how would you give a similar kind of summary about yourself?
Well, I'll talk specifically about Putt-Putt.
Sure.
So for me, how I got involved with acting as a child was really it was actually interesting. I believe my mom won something at work where it allowed me, you could pick different things, like go to, Enchanted Village or do this or whatever it may be, go see a game, the Supersonics when they were in town. And, and she picked an acting course for me at the Seattle Children's Theater. And I went down there, and I loved using my imagination as a child. We lived by being in Seattle, Washington. You grow up next to woods, and you're constantly pretending you're a knight, or you are whoever it may be, an army man or G.I. Joe or whatever. And so it was really a great outlet for me while I was younger. And I got called upon. I did her class, and I remember the very first technique we did actually was, she's like, pretend the wind is blowing you down. And I was like, yes. And I upload, all the other kids are like, yeah. And I was like, whoa, like grabbing all this stuff, like pushing kids out of the way, and like really into it. And everyone's like, oh my God, who's this crazy kid? It's like, there's no wind. Yes, there was. In my mind, there was. And, and I think that's why Jill and I had a great, that's why I think she liked me so much, and she actually recommended me to do Putt-Putt. From Putt-Putt, my career kind of went to theater and so forth. But one thing about with the Putt-Putt series, which now that I'm looking back at it and realizing it, really, like, for me, Putt-Putt was this room inside the studio. It was never really about the audition process. It was really about Laurie and myself and us mixing it, and really, I think part of the reason why Putt-Putt was so successful, and I'm actually realizing this more and more after today, was just the chemistry that I probably had with Laurie as well, and her being able to deliver those lines and that that connection of you being able to relate to a young child. So that's really what made it so much fun. I came here looking forward to performing and being a part of this. And I feel really, really lucky that I got to experience this. And I feel very fortunate.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. That was excellent. I feel, I mean, it goes without saying, and I'll be repeating it before we're done, but I feel so incredibly fortunate you guys genuinely are like my childhood heroes. like really, it was a big deal. Right. Jason was a huge deal. Laurie, your writing brought me so much joy throughout all these characters. It was. I really feel like Humongous and Putt-Putt, and I'm certain I'm not the only person, helped teach me just how to be a nice person. It was a blueprint for, hey, these are ways to be kind, and just to help people, and that it doesn't cost you anything, and just to go for it. And Tom, you with your audio engineering, I love audio and what you contributed to the whole world. And also, again, I mentioned earlier, you did the Spy Fox 3 songs, and also Spy Fox 2 and Freddy Fish 2 and on, and contributed so much. And it's we didn't know, Laurie was going to be a part of this. I wasn't sure how available you were going to be, and you've been incredibly helpful all day. You guys just continue to prove to me that Humongous was something really special, or that it attracted just some of the most special people I've ever met who were sitting in this room. So
sure,
so
yeah,
sweet.
thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
I remember seeing Tom. He'd help us there, and I was like, "Gosh, that guy's got the best hair." and, I was a little disappointed when I came in and I saw it come off again.
He asked me.
Hair.
He asked me. So I said, "Oh, Tom's looking forward to seeing you." And he said,
"First thing I said,
stuff, long hair."
Long hair?
Yeah,
I was very excited about it.
Yeah, you were.
I loved it. I was
totally
like, Tom's got the coolest hair.
on it.
When it's time. And it
was time.
It was time a long time ago.
Sure.
I want to carry a little picture with me, and I walk down the street and I see some guys my age that have long hair, and I want to pull out my picture and go, "It's time." I want to look at him and say, "It's time."
Sure.
You got to do it.
You did that age. Right. Absolutely.
No, but I think you were probably one of my first post-production assignments.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun. Yeah. It was great.
It was great fun.
It was a great experience. You were a great kid to record. I was scared shitless, if I can say that.
Yeah, of course.
Because I had never recorded a little kid before.
Oh, really? Oh.
And I was like, oh, is this going to take us 6,000 hours? And then you started working with him, and I was like, thank God. She knows what she's doing. And no, but you were great because you also knew when to give him a break. Like you always had all these different things. And it was when bands were going gangbusters in here. So we would have your whole setup. And we would have to tape it off and everything. And
I remember that too, actually.
And then, because you were coming in around 5, I think.
I'd have to go after school.
Right. And so the bands would be working, and then we'd tear down, and set up for you. And we'd take pictures and have everything so that we could set it all up exactly the same.
Sure.
Wow.
And I think it was during Putt-Putt, maybe it was during Freddy, but we had like heart booming through the other.
I mean, while he was here, it was the
side.
90s, so it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember actually specifically you saying something about, I hear music in the background.
Yeah.
I remember that. It's funny.
Was this less soundproofed at the time? Because it looks a little
different.
No,
it's just that,
they're loud.
When Soundgarden was in doing Super Unknown, they brought subwoofers in to reamp some stuff, and the subwoofers were the size of Volkswagens.
It might have been Soundgarden, actually.
I mean, it was just an insane amount of audio.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable, the levels. But it probably 90, when was it, 95?
92 was Parade. 92 was his first.
So 92 would have been with some of the first bands. God, I don't even know who
and that was pretty grungy back then, right? And I remember
when Pearl Jam
bringing
was
these
hitting,
little
wasn't it?
kids in to be
Sure, I remember seeing
Lawson
some of the
Productions
bandmates
then,
too.
right?
Yes.
And then, they're all
totally.
these big, kind of grungy guys, and then I've got all these little kids coming in for their sessions.
Patrick.
I'm trying to be the mom,
Yes. Well, I think you did a wonderful job. I think I even mentioned to you how much I heard some about Tammy from people, and I also just heard so much about you. And everyone here has such fun things to say. Everyone here has such fun things to say.
Because I love them
about each other.
Sure.
Exactly. No,
we're just all Putt-Putt. We're all Putt-Putt. That's sort of the existential, kind of thing. We all
part of it.
wanting to help each other.
It's such a pleasure to get to come in at this end and to be able to contribute anything to sort of feel a part of it, because I feel like this is really special, and Been fun to orchestrate.
Yeah, we haven't been in this room for a very long time.
Yeah. I have.
Every
day.
The past
here for
22
the last 20
years.
Yeah,
Oh,
22
good God.
years.
Yeah, if you told me back then.
Right.
I looked at you and been like,
I showed up. It was funny. We had this scheduled out for a few weeks, only just a few weeks, but I showed up a couple weeks ago to kind of rehearse this a little bit and just get kind of set. Now I see how inadequate it was. But I came into the building and Tom was in the lobby and I said, "Oh, hey, Tom." He goes, "Oh, shit, is that today?" He had a panic attack just for a moment.
because we're in the middle of doing a TV show.
Totally in the middle of stuff.
Really tight schedule.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I said, no. I'm just passing through. I'm just saying hi. That was it. But we did turns. Who the heck are you? How would you define yourself in this context? We got a hard act to follow.
I'm a recording engineer.
A wonderful musician and
for sure.
Tom McGurk, yes.
beautiful music.
No, I have to say Humongous Entertainment was great to me because they gave me a chance to write music for Spy Fox, and for Putt-Putt, and for Freddy Fish, and a lot of the backyard titles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After we worked on Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Yep.
And we won. Me and my partners, Mike McAuliffe and Dave Howe, collectively won 7 Emmys apiece for that, which was crazy. That show was a crazy ride. That went all the way 2001. Yeah. And 99, we decided that Steve Lawson wanted to sell the place, so we bought it.
Oh, right.
With our partner, Charlie Nordstrom. Yeah. And Charlie also owns Studio X, which is next door.
Okay.
And then from then on, we just kept working on all different kinds of projects: movies, TV shows, video games, everything.
Movies.
You know, tons of music, tons of really, really fun things.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty lucky to still be here.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But it is funny to think back to then and think, my God, I would love to leap into a time machine.
Wouldn't that be great?
Zoom back and just look at myself back then and go, don't worry.
Well, let's just pull out Putt-Putt Travels Through Time.
We'll have to come back for that one.
But, it's funny, as the years go by and you progress through and you see how the game touches people along the way. I have a son who's on the autistic spectrum.
Okay.
And, when he was really young, he got diagnosed at like 2.5. We would go to different therapies.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I took him to a therapy over on the east side, and I was walking through the room, and one of the other kids was playing Putt-Putt. And I stopped and I looked, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And one of the therapists was like, "Oh, those kids they love these games because they can relate to them."
Yeah.
Because the kid is such the car was something that they could relate to. It was safe. It didn't ask them to do anything. They were in control of it.
Yeah.
It was so gentle the way he spoke to them.
Yeah.
And I found out that there's a huge cadre of people that love that game in that community.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's great.
And it still has legs today.
Yeah.
I mean,
it does.
what's really funny is to have people come into the studio and they will be walking down and look at the gold records and, you'll see, Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and Tower of Power and Taking Care of Business was done here and Heart and all these other bands. But then they'll see the Humongous titles and they'll go, oh my God. We had somebody from Germany that showed up, and every once in a while, if we're not busy, we'll grab them and pull them in and let them walk around. Mm-hmm. This girl saw Freddy Fish and she was like, oh, Freddy Fish. And she was freaking out over it.
Wow.
Have you signed the giant shirt?
You should.
You need to
take a look before you go.
Sign the giant shirt.
Yeah, totally.
But that is the biggest thing to me is how much the games have had a reach that just keeps going.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think it has to do with the character and everything about the character, how it looks, how it was voiced, and how it was written.
Even when in these school presentations
and the music
that I do.
Fat Man's music was incredible.
Oh, yeah. In these school presentations I do, I mean, there's kids who know Putt-Putt, but then there's other kids who say, where can I find it? I want to play that game.
That is the other thing about that game that is so interesting. In today's age of how technologically advanced everything is, it's still accessible and people still hunt it. They still try and find it.
Well, because the games are very different now. It's a whole different ballgame, and this is so much more story and character driven.
Lets you identify with the character.
And you feel like you're controlling the story in a really wonderful way that's non-threatening, which is why.
Well, Putt-Putt was so like non-threatening. He was just, but he wasn't like wimpy. He was just kind of this cool little car that you could just kind of hang out with. It was sweet and
helpful and wonderful. He was Jason.
That went on these adventures and did all these interesting things. But it's fascinating to me. It really is.
Yeah. Your story actually reminded me of something I hadn't thought of in a long time. My father, he long-time church-going man, and he's quite an incredible person. And he took charge of and cared for this family's son. I don't know, he was like, I think 9 or 10 when my dad started. His name was Nathan, and he had Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And my father just would sort of care for him during like Sunday service, and then I formed a relationship with the family and just would help take care of this boy. And the boy actually wound up dying really tragically at a young age in his, I think, mid-teens. But in the meantime, when the games made it to Steam, they became more easily accessible. Mm-hmm. My dad, I think, bought no. I guess this was years ago, so it wasn't that recent. But my dad gave, I think, the entire series to Nathan to play, and he just loved them. Yeah, and he didn't connect with any other game they had put in front of him in the same way at all. But he could just easily connect with all. He loved the colors, everything you said. And so I agree. I think there's so much value for what they did. My God, like, yeah, you guys, it needs like a Nobel Prize or something. You guys really created something.
No, it's just like you
talked about. Ron. I mean, so much of the credit has to go to Ron.
It's true. No,
and because he had the vision for it, and
he got a lot of really good people to work with him.
Yeah, and he got a lot of great people to work for him, and he had the vision, and he stuck with it.
Yeah,
you know? I remember the very beginning. And this is I'm going to bring Fatty Bear up again.
Okay, here we
go. Because they we came up with. Parade. Mm-hmm. And, in those days, it was in this teeny, even a smaller house, maybe. I don't even know if it was the same place. Mm. And we were, I was drawing storyboards. Yes. I'm not an artist.
Right.
I do great stick figures. And so we got that done, and they were trying to sell it to Sony, I believe, at the time.
Okay.
They were looking for funding.
Okay.
And what Sony said to them is they're interested, but they want to know what other ideas we have. What ideas do you have, Laurie? I said, well, how about Fatty Bear? So that's how Fatty Bear came to be.
Wow. You just looked at the farty bear in the corner and said, hey, you come alive at night.
Well, his name was Fatty Bear.
Right, of course. I'm using it as an adjective to describe.
Exactly.
Yeah. Where did the name Fatty Bear come from?
My friend Nancy, I think.
Okay.
It was a bear her parents brought back from Germany as a gift.
Okay.
I mean, he's literally, he's this tall.
Yeah.
And he now lives in Chicago.
Oh, okay. He's still alive. He's still out there. Yeah. Fatty Bear's on the loose. What, was it you or Ron who came up with the birthday surprise premise for that game? Do you remember?
That was probably me, I think.
Okay, yeah. That feels less Ron-like, that one.
Yeah.
Ron just shipped his game, Thimbleweed Park. Haven't played it yet. Really looking forward to it. Have it at home. But I was reading the description for it, and he has this very particular style of humor.
Yeah.
And I can hear it in Putt-Putt, and I could hear Putt-Putt humor in this description for this game, and I could feel the Putt-Putt DNA, in this new production, and that was kind of interesting to see. Like, oh yeah, Ron really, he's done a lot. He's a really cool guy.
I haven't seen Ron for years either. So
I haven't either. Steve has talked to him from time to time.
I saw him.
You did?
Man, he did some work here on that.
On Thimbleweed Park.
On Thimbleweed Park.
Yeah.
Tell him hello. You see him.
I know. We just haven't seen him.
It was so funny because he was walking down the hall, and I said, "Hey, Ron, how's it going?" And he looks at me like, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Tom McGurk. I worked on Spy Fox and Putt-Putt." And he's like, "Oh, Tom, how are you? Yeah, how's it going?"
I'm going to make sure we get together. I've known him since he was 19.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when they got the huge building, and I had to go into his office to talk to him about something. And I will never forget this. I walked into that giant room, and he had a little desk with his computer, and he was working.
Yeah.
Because that's where he wanted to be.
Well, definitely. He was a worker. I mean, he had no interest in being the boss, the big boss of a company, or having that kind of power in that way. He just wanted to do the good work.
To do the stuff, yeah.
I mean, that was always his passion.
Which, yeah.
And it shows. He's a really hard worker and has done some really wonderful stuff. I mean, Monkey Island was legendary.
Good Lord, is that legendary.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow.
I played Monkey Island with my sister. She was like 12. I was 15 or 16 for the first time. And, my sister is not someone who, I mean, I don't know. It depends. She's just a kid, so she likes flashy, cool things and can be, wasn't really into something this old, kind of dated in this way. She wound up absolutely loving it. She just no game should have voice acting besides Putt-Putt, because it was just, she could hear Guybrush's voice so well, and those lines and the humor, and you fight like a dairy farmer, and she just fell in love with Ron's style of humor and absolutely loved it all. That was a really cherished memory for us.
It was great fun. It was great fun.
That's good stuff.
Played all the way through that. It was hard.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, totally. That grog puzzle toward the end, that drove us crazy.
Well, the whole thing, particularly because I was playing with a 5-year-old at the time.
Yes, that would make it a bit more.
I had we could call Ron until 11 o'clock at night to ask him how, how to get here or there, because I had a 5-year-old. I needed to get to bed.
Yeah. Sure. Well, if each of you had just one sentence sentiment to share with all these people who are watching this now and who really love your work and love Putt-Putt, what might you say to them? Just really, and really, that's the only parameters. It's just a single sentiment that you would share with those kids who are still going, loved it as a kid, enjoyed it so much, shared that connection with you. What might you say? Laurie, you go ahead and go first.
There were so many books that touched me as a kid when I was young that I still carry around with me, and I think it's been my life's work to try to create things that connect to kids in the long term, that create memories for kids turned adults. Yeah. And so that's why I'm so delighted that Putt-Putt has done that for kids. Yeah. That's what I try to do with my books, and it's just it's a way of kind of giving back and giving people memories to carry with them through their lives.
Yeah. Thank you, Laurie. Appreciate it.
I would just say probably, thank you for, thank you for loving, the game so much, and, really you're not, Putt-Putt is not Putt-Putt without its viewers also, right? And they're just as much as, like you've said, and other people who've messaged me before, they feel a connection with Putt-Putt, and so I just want to, probably thank everyone out there for giving it a chance and playing it and being a part of that, because they're just as much of the growth as we are, behind the scenes, obviously.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think that's good. What do you got, Tom?
I just say thank you.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to be involved with something that people will come up to you and say, "Oh my God, you worked on that game."
Sure.
And you realize just how much of a part of their life it was.
Yeah.
And it's almost shocking in a way.
Yeah.
Because when we were working on it, you don't realize that it's going to have such a longevity, and it's going to have a person who plays it over and over and over again and knows every facet of it when they're a little kid, and it becomes their friend and stuff. And, really, the look in people's eyes when they find out that you were, any part of that game, it's like, to them, is like, you can see them shoot back to being 5 years old and that how they loved it and they were playing that game. So it's awesome. Thank you. That's what I'd say.
Well, and I will stand instead of them. I will stand or sit here on behalf of, all the people who came around the corner and saw my booth at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo that year. I announced my project, and they just started crying. They said, thank you for having this here. It's been so long since I even saw this. And I can sit here for those people. I can sit here for those people who keep drawing Putt-Putt and keep threads alive, talking about I found this hidden code in the game, or I found this click point that I never noticed before, 22 years after the fact. I'll sit here for the kids who feel like they were never quite able to connect with the world, maybe in a way that most of their peers were, but they could connect with Putt-Putt, with Freddy Fish, with Pajama Sam, with Spy Fox, and say, thank you guys. There were so many small chances, little bets you guys took all along the way that, okay, I'll work for 6 months without pay. I'll take the audition with 104-degree fever. I'll try working with this kid even though I don't know how to work with kids. And oh God, there's Laurie, and I hope this works out. So many little places where you could have said no and you didn't. Yeah. And as a result of all those decisions, we're sitting here, and literally millions of people's lives have been altered for the better. So, thank you guys.
Yeah, I'm gonna cry.
Appreciate it. Well, with that, we'll say goodnight, and thank you guys for watching, and just stay tuned. It's been wonderful to have you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Julie.
Wow, trip down memory lane.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, this is great. You guys are awesome.